I disagree with pretty much 100% of the value pricing definitions out there. I think that you can value price sometimes, but not in other occasions. So here's how I look at it. I have done more than 100 pricing projects for B2B SaaS, and value pricing is one of the concepts or things that a lot of my clients bring to me and say, well, we want to value price this, that, and the other thing. And I'm saying, sure, let's not make that the goal. Let's make making more money the goal, and then we can see if value pricing sort of fits into that. Because value pricing is something that happens almost naturally in certain market conditions. So I want to show you something that I have developed that I call the behavioral pricing matrix that lays out when those market conditions occur, how you can design for them, and how you can sort of know where you fit into that. So essentially, there are two things that matter whenever you want to figure out, like, well, what are the pricing dynamics that govern my market? And one is the level of customer sophistication. So customer sophistication basically comes down to a few things. One, has the customer bought this type of thing before? Like, do they have experience? Are they buying this constantly all the time? Two, do they have a lot of insight into the market and data on different vendors and pricing and so forth? Three, do they have insight into their own value chain and know what kind of impact the purchase would have on their business, like how much value it's actually going to generate and what kind of other costs that it would incur and so forth. And then four, which is like a little sort of weird, but do they actually care about this, or do they have other priorities and they actually don't want to spend the time doing the procurement process, or do they just want to buy now? Okay. On the other axis, you have the level of competition. So on the very end here, in the peak, you have something like crude oil, where the level of competition is like 100% or maximal. And in here you have like a very unique piece that only you can deliver to the world. Okay, so what I usually say is that, you know, this can come to in shades of gray, but overall you want to work with like just a 2x2. So you just want to say, here we have like 4 components. We have like high sophistication, low sophistication, high competition, low competition. Let's see what we get. And essentially what you get up here is you get a cost plus based pricing, right? So if you have really, really smart customers that are buying this a lot and they have access to all the market data and they know exactly what it's worth to them in their business model, and they actually care about the purchase, and they can get it anywhere else because they have high competition, then they're going to push you to your margins, right? They're going to pressure you so you only can barely survive, and maybe not even that. So contract cleaning, crude oil, a lot of like plastic wrapping sits here. Everybody can build it. The people buying it are usually like Procter & Gamble. They have procurement managers that are like experts and do nothing else and have all the data in the world, right? So you cannot value price in this quadrant. Like if you have really smart customers with data and a lot of competition, you know, that's just where you sit. What do we have that governs the pricing in this quadrant, where you have, let's say, non-sophisticated customers, but you still have a lot of competition? Well, the driving factor here is search cost. So the idea is that the customer is unsophisticated. They're like, let's say, people that wants to buy a mortgage, buy a house, they are here. Like, I'm not buying a mortgage every day. I don't have any experience. I don't understand like compound interest. I don't understand the fees. I really want the house because it's my dream home. So I'm just going to go to my bank. There's a lot of banks in here. They're like, I could go to any of a million banks that would sell me a mortgage, but I'm just going to go to my bank because I know them and I have low search cost, because the idea here is that the more I have to search, it's sort of the cost of being more sophisticated that the customer has to pay. So that's the search cost, where they need to find, they need to create the data, they need to create the expertise, they need to create everything that would make them more sophisticated, that would bring them up here, but they're not. So here you have what I call brand-based pricing. You find another word for it, but the operating term here is search cost, where they say, well, you know, I trust you enough, you're not going to screw me. You're not going to be so overpriced that, you know, it would be very easy for me to find someone else. So I'm just going to accept that you're overpricing me a little bit based on, on the trust you have in the market and so forth, even though I know there's a lot of other banks or a lot of other vendors and so forth. Then you have what is called perceived value-based pricing. And here you have value-based pricing. Okay, what's the difference? So what do you have in this product? Well, you have a really smart customer that has access to all of the data. They have done this before. They know exactly what kind of impact that the purchase will have on their business, and they can get it nowhere else, right? So they say, well, we know exactly that the value of this purchase is $1 million, and we have nowhere else to get this value. You're the only one that can sell this to us because competition is really low. So here, what's driving this quadrant is fairness. Because if the value is $1 million, they should technically be willing to pay, $999,000 for it, and so the difference would be $1,000. So why wouldn't you buy $1,000 of value? Why wouldn't you buy $1 million of value for $999,000? Well, because of fairness, right? Because they don't want to get screwed, and they would feel screwed because they know that you're getting $999,000 out of it. Here, perceived value-based pricing, you get to draw a picture of the pie to the customer and tell you how big the pie is, and then your marketing determines it. So here I would say it's the marketing-driven pricing, where you say luxury brands, a lot of things function down here. We're saying, well, I'm going to convince you, dear unsophisticated customer, that this is worth a lot. It's worth $1,000, so you should be really happy to pay only $200 for it, because what a steal. You're going to get $800 of value, and I only get the $200. So it's a perfect opportunity for you to blah, blah. You speak all your marketing lingo, you convince your customer of the pricing, and they then buy it. And they say, well, I can't get it anywhere else. So it's not even like I could search more and get a better deal because this is unique. It's in a lifetime opportunity. I'm going to buy it from this guy. But they are not sophisticated, so you need to actually spend money convincing them of the value and then sell them the perceived value. And it's different from actually building actual value in the product, which is what you need to do up here with these guys that already know how it's structured. So value-based pricing, sure, with very sophisticated customers and not a lot of competition, great, you get that. But if you have very sophisticated customers and you do have competition, then you're probably in this space over here. Now, if you have a software product and you have, let's say, some sort of model where you have, let's say, different types of versions of the product, like basic, advanced, enterprise, you can definitely have like your simple product be here. Let's say you have like an e-signature product. It just sits there. Everybody can do e-signatures. They're super cost plot based. But maybe your, let's say, super new solution that does something very particular to a vertical. Maybe you do like contract analysis with some AI, and you can solve a problem that nobody else can. That actually can sit here, right? So in your tiered system, you can think of the different product packages you have in like where they place in something like this, and what kind of competition you have, and how sophisticated the customer is that needs to buy this. And maybe you can start here where you have, let's say, maybe you have unsophisticated customers there, and then your expansion journey can be to educate customers sort of up this track or across, depending on what packages you sell. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense why I'm not a big fan of value-based pricing, because it's just used like universally, like something you should always do. And I think it's essentially a condition of a market meeting a specific type of customer or segment in that market, and not something that you can just decide as someone that sells SaaS. So I hope this gave you some new vocabulary to understand the world and sort of run your pricing. In that case, good luck to you, and see you in the next video. Hey there, so I create these videos for free so that you can take your great SaaS product and turn it into a great SaaS business. So if you like the video and you got value from it, you should of course subscribe to the channel, and also tell a friend. So write someone and say, hey, you're in SaaS, this guy talks about SaaS, maybe there's something in there for you. So that is the only way that this channel actually grows, or these videos gets around. And this is sort of how I try to provide value to everyone. I have a network of clients that I have, and I get most of my business from referrals only. So the reason I make the videos and write the books and so forth is actually to just provide value to everyone else, because I can only be in one place at a time. So my hope with all these videos is just to do more good in the world. And if you tell a friend or you share, you can help me do that. So thank you.